resilience edition of Power Thinking. Uh, this is where we help you to build these essential skills of resilience. This is our Power Thinking training call, Rejuvenating Your Amazing Mind for February 2026, our first Wednesday in the month of February. As usual, it is moving fast, and I'm glad that you decided to, just take that 30 minutes, that time out to invest, plug in with us, and get another dose of, resilience and empower thinking. Of course, our goal here in our 7:30 a.m. edition, of course, I'm your moderator, Stanley Green, is to help you build these absolutely essential skills of resilience for those tough times. And it's not a question of when or if we're going to have a challenging time. It is a question of when, and it can happen at any time. Every day there's something that's going on that people get stressed about, they get anxious about, and our goal is to help you to eliminate those negative emotions, uh, put you in a position where you can move past these adversities much, much faster. So again, appreciate each and every one of you for being with us. We already have folks who are on the line in queue. I see Leslie Flowers. Anyone else? Hit that star six. We'd love to get your comments around our focus for the day, which is financial resilience in 2026. Tackling debt, tackling you know how to get moving with our savings, but most importantly, how to change our mindset and help and equip you to help others to change their mindset so they don't put themselves in a bad position to begin with. So hit that star six if you're on our phone lines. If you're joining us on LinkedIn, feel free to write in a comment or question, and we'll answer. So I do want to introduce you to our coach, Carrie Willis, and Coach Willis is Coach Carrie is a brand new Power Thinking user, and it came out as a result of our one-on-ones of 15 minutes, and we talked, and she joined us immediately, and I said, "Look, we'll get you on to talk about finances." This is what this is all about. It is about all of us. Each one of you are helping other people, and I consider what we do at Power Thinking helping the helpers to get stronger and to move forward. So today we focus on finances. It's a perfect time because it's still the beginning of the year. Many folks just a couple of months ago, actually a little over a month ago, were spending a lot more money than they could afford to spend, and they were using credit cards. They were caught up in the Christmas spirit, so to speak. And the question is, how do we make sure that we can bounce back? Because now there's a setback. People are in debt or are in more debt. They may have already been in credit card debt, and they've only compounded that. So how do we get out of it? And how do we ensure that we don't put ourselves in this position going forward? So, Coach Carey, thank you for joining us. Really happy that you're here and for being part of the Power Thinking Corp family now. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm super excited to be here. I'm looking forward to having this conversation today.
Fantastic, fantastic. So, start with the seven inner strengths, folks, of resilience. We typically go through them in the seven skills, and I want Coach Carey to comment on resilience, what we deal with, and how it relates to finances, and what she does, to help people, bounce back from those tough times, and position themselves so they don't have major challenges financially. So we have the seven inner strengths are emotion regulation, the ability to stay calm under pressure. Think about that as it relates to finances. And then impulse control, the ability not to say or do the first thing that comes to mind. And we're bombarded with advertising that tells us you got to buy this, you got to have that. It's going to improve your life. And then there's empathy, there's self-efficacy, the belief that you have control over your ability to succeed. And there's some folks that have fallen into this state of learned helplessness where, because they've had this habit of spending during the holidays, using consumer debt and credit cards. And now, they have to climb out. They don't believe that they can. And it's a tough situation. Optimism, the view that ultimately, we'll get through this and we will thrive. Where are folks on that? There's causal analysis is one of our inner strengths. Drilling down to the root cause. Why am I facing this every year? And there, you saw a YouTube video where they talked about how do you reduce the debt? Well, folks don't even have the money. They didn't have the money in the first place. So how are they going to be paying this thing down? And then, of course, reaching out, taking the initiative to connect with others and taking action when faced with setbacks and challenges. So, Coach Carey, as we talked about these inner strengths of resilience, how does it relate to finances and what you do to help people?
Well, one of the things that I absolutely love talking about is resilience. That's our ability to bounce back from a setback. And so, what's really exciting when it comes to financial resilience, I always think about the idea that we go into debt on purpose. We know that these holidays are coming up. We sometimes have not properly prepared. And then we should start thinking about, in terms of resilience, how can we get financially free on purpose. And so when you think about resilience, one of the things that I love about the Power Thinking app is that every single day you get some positive messages. Sometimes twice a day I've been getting them. And so I absolutely love that. Financial resilience, ultimately, I know people think I'm going to start talking about money, but financial resilience starts here. It actually starts in the mind. And resiliency is what you talked about earlier, that ability to adapt and recover from adversity, but also from stress and from trauma. And a lot of times, the stories that we've been told growing up have created financial trauma. So think about some of the stories you may have heard. Money is the root of all evil. Wealthy people are terrible people. And so when you have that type of mindset, we start with financial trauma emotionally. And that's why I think your 7 steps are so amazing, because it gives people an opportunity to reframe their thinking. And that way we don't go into debt on purpose.
Fantastic. Let me just acknowledge a few people. John Warner from Chicago. We flashed his greetings up on the screen. Leslie Flowers, who's also on the phone lines. Good morning to the Power Thinking community. Thank you for being here. We'll go right to our phone lines. Let's bring up first. We have also Greg Jones, who's in the queue. So we're going to go right through those and see what questions or comments they have, and you can comment on those before we get into some steps that people can take to make sure that they're financially resilient. So let's go to our first contributor, Leslie Flowers. Leslie, thanks for joining us. Mention where you're joining us from and your thoughts about financial resilience in 2026. Welcome.
Thank you, Stanley. Good to see you. And hi, Coach Terry. Also lovely seeing you. I wanted to say that hello to everybody, and that I thought that the video this morning that you send out each week was excellent about different ways to manage our money, if you will. And I wanted to share one thing that I did a couple of years ago that just rocked my world financially. Now, I'm a little embarrassed to say this, okay? But, vulnerability and all that, I may not be the only one. So as a baby boomer, the husband did most of the financial work. And I was married for over 33 years. So I never learned or really paid much attention. And then when my marriage broke up over the last 25 years, well, actually about 4 or 5 years ago, I hired a business coach, and she made me do a profit and loss. And all of a sudden, and we're looking at all my monthly automatics. So you remember all those programs that you had to have, right? You had to have Animoto, and it was a small fee. So there are all these subscriptions that I had forgotten about, that at one time they were very important. And because I was not paying any attention and just kind of robbing Peter to pay Paul, I live okay, don't get me wrong, right? But it was $500 a month that I could remove. It blew me away. And of course, I could have done that years before. So maybe that's a really cool place to start, because if you've been online as long as I have, then you bought all these programs, and it's only $6 or $10 or $12 a month. It adds up. So I felt refreshed, and I just wanted to offer that in case someone hasn't done that, and wonder what you think about that, Coach Carey.
All right. Thank you, Leslie. Very good comments and question. Coach Carey.
I think that it's amazing that you are willing to be so transparent, because you're absolutely right. What you're saying is definitely going to help other people. I too looked at all of the subscriptions that I had, and mine wasn't quite $500, but it was quite a bit of money. And that's one of the ways that you can start looking for money that you can allocate to other areas, is by checking your subscriptions. I remember when I did my one-on-one with Stanley, we talked about that. Do you have to have all of the different television programs? Sometimes people have 7 to 10 different subscriptions, when maybe you can narrow it down to one or two. And that's one of the things that I do when I coach people, is we look intensively at your budget to make sure that the money that you're spending is being allocated in the right area. So I absolutely love that question, Miss Leslie.
Yeah, and that's a great area to look at. And also, not just the subscription, like streaming services and so forth, but um, things that we take for granted, like our utilities, our telephone, and our cable, right? There are ways, because there's competition out there, that we can reduce those costs significantly. Isn't that right, Coach?
That is absolutely correct. There are so many ways to reduce cost when it comes to utilities and when it comes to other things in life. I'm glad that you brought up utilities and phones, because one of the things that I used to do was pay a cell phone bill. It was about $400 a month, between my son, myself, the watches, the tablets. Right now, I don't have a phone bill at all, because there are free telephone services that you can use. And so I eliminated a $400 bill, which gave me $400 that I can invest somewhere else. But there's also things like the coffees. I love a great cup of coffee in the morning, but there are times when you can splurge and put that in your budget, where you're buying maybe a $4 or $5 cup of coffee. And then there are also times where you can get a container of coffee for $4 or $5 that might last you a month or two. And so it's just looking at the things that you want in your life, and making sure that you allocate for fun, and then making sure that you're allocating for responsible spending as well. Great question.
Fantastic. And there's the real big issue of women who have husbands or significant other or male, who they'll defer to in terms of the budget and spending and so forth. And then when that person's gone, then they feel helpless. How do you address that for women?
So one of the things that I pride myself in doing, if there's a couple, is meeting with the couple at the same time. But in
Mhm.
the event that there's a separation or there's a loss, and the person has not been involved in finances for a long time, that's why I love offering free financial education sessions. So all of my educational services are complimentary or free of charge to the community. And so when it comes to women, when it comes to men, when it comes to people who are, recently separated, whether it's through divorce or through a loss of life, making sure that you stay on track financially is really important. Statistically, women who lose a partner usually go into financial troubles in less than 12 months. And so it's really
Mhm.
important that you reach out to somebody right away to make sure that you learn about finances.
Yeah, great. And I think Leslie made a comment, boomers for sure, we never learned anything in school about finances. And I think when we had our discussion, I told you when I was a deputy treasurer, we were focused on financial literacy courses and training in the schools, which most states don't have. And finally, and this was back in 2014, finally in 2023, a bill was passed that requires at least one course in high school before someone graduates around financial matters. So, maybe we're getting it. All right, we're going to keep moving, and because we have a few other folks on, and I'm going to go next to Olu. Olu, thanks for joining us. Mention where you're joining us from and your thoughts about financial resilience. Welcome. Olu, if you're unmuted there. So hopefully you can unmute on your end. And what we can do is we can get back to you. I'm going to put you on mute, and you may have to come back in again. You'll have to come back in again. We're going to go next to Greg Jones. Greg, thanks for joining us. I mentioned where you're joining us from and your thoughts about financial resilience. Welcome.
Good morning, and I'm coming to you from the Rosedale section of Queens, New York. I'm a Brooklynite, a relocated Brooklynite down in Queens, and financial resilience. Well, that's one of my favorite topics, of course.
Of course.
Having been in business for now, started as a part-timer, just trying to earn some additional income. It's now going into a business career over 30 years now. So needed and so very relevant in 2026. I think the mentoring and the coaching that your guest is, a part of, it boils down to, I've heard the kids say, I guess it's the kids say, I got my mind on my money and my money on my mind, or something along those lines. And it's really comes around to how you think. It is a mindset or a mind game, as your coach Carrie started out with. And one of the challenging and toughest stages that you have to fight through and get out of is a stage called unconscious incompetence. I'm just want that to sit for like 10 seconds. Unconscious incompetence. You're unconscious about the incompetence that you have or the things that you need to do and how you have to manage and direct one of your most important assets and resources, your most important assets, which is your money, but more so your mind, your mindset. And one of the things I've learned over the years, and I've been in business a long time now, the seeds of financial incompetence start early. And I've coached and even spoken to in my outreach, even kids, 3, 4, and 5 years old, who already know that when you put $1 in their hand, what they want to do with it.
Right.
Which 95% of the time is disperse, spend it. There's nothing in their vocabulary or their thought process about retaining, making it grow, investing. And so it starts early, the gratification of spending money, which is a prerequisite for getting into debt.
Great.
Right.
Well, let's hear.
So I remember this is from Forbes magazine many years ago. I'll leave the audience with this. They interviewed 400 individuals who are the billionaire list, right? And they asked them, okay, you became a billionaire. What were the first 2 or 3 steps that you took to start your way on becoming what ultimately led you to becoming a billionaire? They said, 75% of them said, number one, I made sure every month I paid myself first. Secondly, I established a plan of action to become completely debt free, including pay off my personal home.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the first 2 to 3 steps.
Yep.
From individuals who became billionaires. Pay off your personal debt, especially your home.
Yep.
One of my mentors, he mentioned this on Saturday on a podcast. He said he lived in a very elusive, exclusive area in the Beverly Hills section of California.
Yep.
He said my neighbors, these are homes $3, $4, $5 million. He said my neighbors were, because they were refinancing their home, they were buying cars, they were doing all kind of renovations to his house, their house.
Yep.
He said what he was doing, what him and his wife were doing.
Yeah.
He said we were paying down the mortgage.
There you go. Well, let's wrap it. Let's wrap it there so that we can get Coach Carey's comments. Sure. Yep. Great. Thank you very much, man. Great stuff. And we'll have to get you up here as a co-host. Let me know when you'd like to do that, within the next couple of months. And Coach Carey, your thoughts?
I think that the point made in terms of children was absolutely correct, because any type of education that's going to benefit us in the long run, the sooner that we can start, the better. I think that the mindset is so important when you're looking at financial resilience, because there are different levels of awareness. There's a book that Steve Siebold wrote. His name is Steve Siebold. I like to say Siebold, but there's a book called 177 Mental Toughness Secrets of the World Class. And one of the things that he talks about is the 5 levels of awareness. So that's exactly what was just being spoken about. And so there's the poverty class consciousness, and then there's the working class consciousness and the middle class consciousness. And when I was middle class, I was like, I've made it. I did not know there were 2 more levels. And so there's also the upper class level of consciousness, and then the world class level of consciousness, or world class awareness. But if you want to be financially resilient, I'm going to say it again, it goes back to mindset. So reading that book, and then there's another book that I absolutely love by T. Harv Eker, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. And one of the things that he has you to do in this book is to put your hand on your forehead and say, I have a millionaire mind. And there are some other things that he does where he has you put your hand over your heart and make some positive statements about yourself as well. You want to live in your preferred existence, but all of that happens when you start to train yourself mentally. That's the first step to financial resilience. And that's one of the things, I have to say it again, that I love about the Power Thinking app, is that it starts to position you where you're thinking in ways that are positive throughout your day. It helps you to think positively. It helps you to improve your finances. It helps you to improve your life, your well-being, your relationships. And it all starts with your mindset.
All starts with the mindset. Fantastic. Let's take some other, we're flashing the comments on the screen, so we won't be reading them, all the comments. We see someone here, Amy Powers. Amy, you seem really new to us, and giving is also a necessary component in addition to contentment. Thanks for that comment. Let's move to our next caller on the line. We have Carla Hill. Carla, thank you for joining us. Mention where you're joining us from and your thoughts about financial resilience. Welcome.
Yes, thank you, and welcome, Coach Carey, as well. What I love about the video is the how-to, in terms of giving you hope, right? Whether you're starting with the highest interest card or the highest balance, but they're giving you options, and just the ongoing practice of being that resilience practitioner, and tying it back to the skills that you teach us, that you emphasize each week, and the emotional regulation, right? Just in terms of not buying something because, it'll make me feel happy, and it's tying to impulse control. And that self-efficacy, that I have the belief that, I can maximize myself and develop these skills to have that control. And just, I forget who's talking about why was Leslie $500? The causal analysis, the root cause, the using the tool of analyzing, and then reaching out to someone like Coach Gary or Greg, right? And this in general, there's a Kenyan proverb: is if you want to go fast, go by yourself, but if you want to go far, go with others. And we need that support and that encouragement and that accountability from others. So thanks for allowing me to share.
Thank you, Carla. Much appreciated. Coach Carey, your comments.
I think that Carla is absolutely correct. You have to focus on mental health, mental wellness, mental well being, and mindset when it comes to matters of money. And the more that you can get yourself together internally, the more that you're going to be able to reflect that externally. And so it's really important to make sure that your training grounds when you go to the gym to exercise because you want to be healthy. It's the same thing when it comes to your mindset, is that you have to do that repetition, and it has to be ongoing, it has to be consistent, and it's really not something that you have to do alone. So I love the organization that Carla spoke of and the work that she's doing, because it really is about partnership.
Yeah, great. So why don't we just kind of wrap it up in terms of, the most important, maybe the top three things that people should be doing as it relates to their finances in 2026, Coach?
I think the top three things, first of all, is connecting with a financial coach. Doesn't have to be me, but you definitely want to connect with a financial coach to look at where is your money actually going. You should be doing something that we call a financial needs analysis. I do those complimentary. The second thing that you should be doing is making a list of where your money is being spent. You want to document those things. You actually want to write it down. You don't want it to be something that you're guessing about, because when you know where your money is going, you really should be telling your dollars what to do. I like to use the phrase that each one of my dollars is a soldier in the war against poverty. And so you have to tell your dollars what to do, because the job of money is to make more money. And so if your money doesn't know what to do, that's how we sometimes can get into debt. And to avoid getting into debt, the third thing that we can do is absolutely plan. Plan your spending. We know that December is coming. We know that the birthdays come at the same time every year. So if you can start saving a little bit every single month to go towards the bigger things that you want to spend, that's something that we can do. There's 4 different places where your money should be spent that I talked about on my show, Retirement Clarity, that I did last Sunday. And so you definitely want to make sure that you're telling your dollars exactly where they should be. So those would be my top 3.
Fantastic. And Coach, with another minute, tell folks how they can get in touch with you. Certainly on the app, you've left some information there in the My Chat section, and other ways that they can get in touch with you as well.
So my handle on all social media platforms, including my website, is Great Finances. That's GR, the number 8, and finances with the letter S at the end. So it's Great Finances. You can find me on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, and of course, you can find me on the Power Thinking app as well.
Fantastic. And Coach, thank you for the comments about the app, and you're spot on. This is very different than what we've done in the past, in that now we have an app where we can send, what I would call these micro trainings, micro boosts, so that instead of just one during the course of the day, it could be 2, 3. And the idea is that we have these thought busters that can disrupt the negative thoughts and continue to build on the positives and the skills and the strengths that we share with you on an ongoing basis. So I want to thank each and every one of you for being with us. Coach Carey, a special thanks to you for joining our community and for contributing right off the bat. Those of you who have been with us for a while, this is your opportunity to step up. We'd love to have you as a co-host. You've been with this community for quite some time and have been content with listening and maybe, contributing from time to time. But let's step up to the stage. We're across 5 platforms, and we are educating folks around the world. So let's go back into our audience, and I want to give a special thank you to folks who I haven't acknowledged early on. Farrell Dove, and Farrell, I'm seeing your TikToks come up. You're doing a great job, and the folks are loving what you do. Keep up the great work. Margaret Golding, good to see you as well. Peg Kowalski, great to see you, and all the others I acknowledged earlier. Thank you for joining us. Make it a fantastic day. We'll have Coach Carey back on this evening. Take care. Have a great one, everybody. We will see you then. Let's make sure we close that out, and then we'll go back to our platforms here. And I want to thank you all for being with us on the LinkedIn, on Facebook, on YouTube, on X, on Twitch. Coach Carey, special thanks to you as well. Great information. We'll see you again at 9:30 p.m. this evening. Make it a great day, everyone. Take care.